What is your understanding thus far, Mr. McGuire, in the area of what is being taught in schools? The extent of cultural education?
I am not too familiar with what the curriculum has in it. At the level of CXC, I know there is a move to introduce theater at that level, and that's good because that gets into the arts. Music is already introduced and so on. So there may be deficiencies, but that's a departure from what because previously there was none of that. So yes, there's music and yes, there's theater and so on. Is there carnival arts and design and so on? I doubt very much. But that then you see has its own foundations. I mean, the foundations for something like design has to be the art that the children do, and whether or not you relate those art to the cultural heritage and so on of the society, and whether or not the children participate in the thing. There are schools obviously who come into Port of Spain every year and play the carnival every year. I think the number of school steel bands are increasing slowly, but they are increasing a number of schools, in particular the private schools, do have their own steel bands and so on, and they do very well. So kids come up there. A lot of kids do music using the instrument they can as the instrument of choice in doing the music. So a lot of this is happening. Some of it is happening by chance, or some of it because of the passion of a particular principal. But at the official level, is there? I don't think that it is promoted as well as it should be. At least I'm not aware that it is.
That is something that we will try to follow through on, because it is important that the inward teaching here, the inward stretch, yes, as you call it, is clearly impacts on the outward reach, if I am to continue in that area. Dr. Gregory McGuire is my guest this morning. I'm still going to catch him for a couple of economic questions. And and Dr. Joanne Tull is here, and we're talking about the product. Doc, let me just go back to you for a moment. We have identified this area of cultural tourism, but I don't want to leave this morning without making very clear that there is a thing called event tourism.
Yes.
Because again, the thrust of this conversation primarily focuses on what is arguably our second form of foreign exchange earning, which is carnival. But it's also about finding different ways for us to open ourselves to get more revenue, yes, away from the traditional
yes,
comfort zone we have had in oil and so, yes, on. So let's talk about event tourism. Just repeat that for those who are coming in late and give us some examples. I am thinking in terms like religious holidays and stuff like that.
Yes. So, but we would also call those festival tourism products, simply because we're talking about what we say the non-secular festivals, whether that be the Diwali, Eid, Husay. I remember the Hindu community have a very lovely festival that's normally held at Brunch that focuses on water. I believe it's Ganga Dashara. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. And I very early on understood through two students of mine who were doing my festival management course at the time, when they studied it as their case study, that they would have a lot of visitors who would pilgrim to Trinidad and Tobago to partake in that festival. And of course, now the Blanchishes community would benefit. So one of the interesting things about the non-secular festivals, if you want to call it that, is that they tend to utilize the community more, and they tend to engage the community more. Inside of there is also a lot of artistry. So that, for example, some of the two carnival bands associations, there are members who are not engaging in the carnival, but who would build structures for like the Ram Leela or the Husay, because you're talking about a design capacity. As long as you're a designer, you can be a member of, and it's a festival, you can be a member of those band associations. So that Trinidad and Tobago, again, like some of the other islands of the Caribbean, have a slate of events that basically are located within other festivals, that one could easily say that Trinidad and Tobago has a festival product that is not just hinged on the carnival. as I think many of us might appreciate, those festivals, to my knowledge, have not been tracked in terms of the economic dimensions. And certainly this is scope for research. And of course, we recognize that there's some that would say that these things should not be measured because of the work. But I believe that, as you said very early on, we had to find ways to make some money here. But it isn't just about the making of the money, which I know you appreciate, but it's also about understanding where one gets a sound ROI. You know, what amount is invested and what we are really getting out of it in terms of tangible and intangible.
And how do we keep and own what we have? Earlier in the conversation, I said that one of the problems in the area of putting together a carnival as a product is the question of intellectual property protection. And you said, I hope by the next time you ask me that Dr. McGuire is here, and he is here. So let me throw that at you. The issue of intellectual property and the protection or lack thereof that exists right now. Please speak to that.
Thanks for the confidential, Joanne.
Yes.
I was just being facetious.
Oh, you were.
But we're a tag team. You throw the first punch, I'll come back.
But at the time, my knowledge in this area is not very strong. Let me just say that. My understanding, of course, is that there is some intellectual property protection with respect to the music, and I think that is much more prominent than with respect to the art itself and designs and so. I think another issue is that the artists themselves are not familiar with whatever there is. I think that's a problem. I mean, you ask the average artist about what his intellectual property rights are, and they don't know.
So then that should be a responsibility from COT, right? The
COT for the music.
Well, COT for the music.
I see. All the other intellectual property, yes.
Yes.
Where is that located? The Ministry of Trade, is it?
Oh, what is that?
Other
Yes, that would be,
protection.
that's the Intellectual Property Office, which should fall under the Ministry of Legal Affairs.
Right.
So let me jump in here a little bit.
Yeah, you threw him in the bamboo, and that's why he looked at you the way.
No, but
Go
you
ahead,
know
please.
these things.
I know he does.
And I wanted him to come from the total economic side. But what I'll say as context is that to pick up on what Gregory is saying, and he's very correct, people do not have a full sense of the knowledge. And I think that the stage at which we are at, I think people should have an understanding of it strategically. So for example, the average artist really ought to understand that he has a basket of rights, which is that he may create something that might be copyrightable, that may be trademarkable, that could be a patent, which are three different kinds. In Trinidad and Tobago, you have the Copyright Organization of Trinidad and Tobago, which covers music. And I think a lot of people don't understand that it only covers music. Mass from, and this is the other unique thing about Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago, as far as I know, is the only country in the region whose Copyright Act covers works of mass. And that was included because, of course, the carnival and the creativity that it yields every year. How that is administered, I don't know if this is still the case now, was through the National Carnival Bands Association and I believe NCDF, National Carnival Development Foundation. I stand corrected as to if that still operates in that way, and my understanding of it is that the accreditation fees that people would pay when they come here to photograph or to record the carnival was pooled, and a similar point system like what is done for music would be done. And of course, then the monies are distributed according to who have the lion's share of the points. Now, this is why I made the point earlier about creating opportunities for the showcasing of the traditional mass forms, because one of the problems that had plagued the associations was the fact that certain bands, of course, would get the lion's share because, of course, the media is focusing on them more. They're on the front page and what have you. And again, I will not call bands' names, but we know who they are. And so for those who were in the smaller bands or medium-sized bands, they felt as though, well, they're not really benefiting from that system that really should benefit all. So I felt that there was a need to find an opportunity for them so that the process of distribution could be more democratized, so to speak. There's that. The other thing is that has crept in as a challenge, I suppose, where the mass is concerned, is that there was a time, and I don't know if this is still the case, where some designers, the work was not original. So there was a time, there was this website, Juan Pablo, and you would go on that website and you would see the costume that you were to be playing Monday and Tuesday. I have had that experience. I've shown it in a presentation. So that then it questions then, how are you getting a royalty?
Well, it's kind of consistent. It's kind of consistent with the music. It's called Genius by Sample.
Well, there you have it.
I heard this a long time ago. Doctor, I want to go into some economic areas with Dr. McGuire, but just before I do that, let's just conclude this part here of the cultural tourism we're talking about. We're talking about Carnival. It is your feeling from all the research you have done of all the other islands who are not gifted with a natural event like Carnival that we can really take this product with some of the areas you articulated earlier and make it into something that is going to be not a substitute for, but surely a great contributor to the coffers of the country.
Yes.
More than we have now.
Yes.
Are you hearing, because you submitted papers before, you have gone to government with it before, are you hearing anything from the President's administration? Have you met with them, or are you, even if you have not met with them, are you hearing anything coming out from them that leaves you more encouraged than you were before, or less?
I
but
would
enough
say,
said less.
I don't think I've heard enough as yet. And I suppose, again, with how things are prioritized, even though the Carnival is upon us, I've not heard of an overall strategy per se. One of the things that just had a little concern for me was the idea that when governments put in money, that they would make a profit from Carnival, and that is something to be cautioned. Government has to see itself as a facilitator, and the money that they invest, you are supposed to see that as a multiplier effect across the economy. Not that they make the money, even though we know in the Caribbean we have those gray areas. So, for example, in Barbados, just as would be the case with NCC here, the NCF is also an event promoter. So you have government acting as a competitor with its stakeholders because they also present events. But outside of that, it's really critical to understand that what government is doing there is, as with other sectors, you are creating a facilitative opportunity to trigger economic activity, business, commercialism, entrepreneurship, which we even touched on, and that would allow the stakeholders to become more empowered, that they can become independent business people. And if you include initiatives such as what Gregory was saying, museums and what have you, you would then see where the thing becomes sustainable beyond the Ash Wednesday.